much, Rosfin Gold, for joining us and sharing that insight. Now we move on to our next story. President Donald Trump's administration can temporarily revoke the legal status of over 500,000 migrants living in the U.S. after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled. The court's decision lifts a previous order by a federal judge that blocked the administration from ending the parole immigration program, called the CHNV Humanitarian Parole Program, which had been established by former President Joe Biden. This program provided protection for migrants fleeing economic and political turmoil in their home countries, including Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. The new order now puts roughly 530,000 migrants at risk of deportation. Under this program, migrants were allowed to live and work in the U.S. for up to 2 years for urgent humanitarian reasons or significant public benefit, according to the U.S. government. Justices Ketanji Brown Jackson and Sonia Sotomayor, two of the court's 3 liberal justices, dissented. The Biden-era program had been a key tool to provide safe and legal pathways for people fleeing difficult conditions. The Trump administration, however, had filed an emergency appeal to end this program, arguing that it was misused to allow migrants to remain in the U.S. On the day he took office, President Trump signed an executive order directing the Department of Homeland Security to get rid of parole programs. Immigrants' rights groups and migrants from the program have sued the administration, arguing that they could face serious risks of danger, persecution, and even death if deported. The ruling comes after the Supreme Court earlier this month allowed Trump officials to revoke temporarily protected status for TPS for some 350,000 Venezuelan migrants for decades. Humanitarian parole programs have been used to allow migrants fleeing war as well as other crises to come to the U.S., including Cubans following the 1960s revolution. Now we have guest John Rosamondo joining us. He's a geopolitical analyst from Washington, D.C. Thank you, Ross, for joining us today. The Supreme Court has lifted bans on ending temporarily protected status for hundreds and thousands of migrants. What does this mean for these communities?
Well, if you look at the targeted communities, the Venezuelans, the Nicaraguans, Cubans, are all communities that the Trump administration has identified as posing security threats. President Trump has gone after Nicaragua, which is a criminal gang from Venezuela that the U.S. intelligence community has identified as having links with, Venezuela's intelligence service. The Cubans, untold number of Cuban intelligence figures. So I think that this is a good win for President Trump, who ran for president on reducing and reversing Joe Biden's open borders policy.
And according to you, what impact does the continued use of Alien Enemies Act have on migrants, particularly those alleged to be gang members?
Well, these are people who have no right to be in here to begin with. I mean, they can commit all sorts of crimes, run drugs. We have fentanyl crisis here in the United States that President Trump has made a top priority, both foreign and domestic. So, allowing the president to use the Alien Enemies Act is, a win for him to be able to eliminate these criminal gangs that have festered under the prior administration.
And the court has The court has emphasized the importance of due process rights for migrants facing deportation. How is this affecting Trump's immigration policies?
Well, I mean, President Trump just wanted to throw everybody out, but the courts have said no, you can't. So this requires the administration to have a burden of proof for every migrant that they want to deport that they were involved in criminal activities. So I think that we have a we're a nation of laws here. So while the administration is being reminded it has to follow the laws.
With pending cases on birthright, citizenship, and deportations to third countries, what can we expect from the Supreme Court in the coming months?
Well, I think that President Trump could end up having significant, judicial headwinds when it comes to birthright citizenship, because there's been a doctrine for some time that says that a person who is born in this country automatically becomes an American citizen. The Trump administration says that the traditional interpretation of our Constitution, is not right. It's not warranted by the base in Congress. Also, I think that President Trump's other policies could end up having some significant setbacks. But I think the president is going to push forward and say, we have unelected judges that are trying to undo the will of the people.
And switching gears for a moment, critics say the administration is not complying with the court's order to return the wrongfully deported man. How significant is this?
Well, I mean, politics is politics. Indeed, if you're referring to, this guy, Kilmar and Gray, I'm trying to remember his name, who was deported, accidentally to a prison in El Salvador. The Salvadorans say they're not returning it. So I think it's kind of a moot point and they can just complain.
Yeah, so according to you, what does this case reveal about the immigration system itself?
Well, I think that it reveals that there are a lot of flaws in the immigration system that allow people who don't belong in the United States to get through. And the president should be working with Congress to change the law, because the president's ability by executive order is fairly limited to a statute. I mean, in the first administration, you had DACA, which was a policy whereby the Obama administration deferred deportations and so forth that this administration fought against. So it really comes down to a lot of executive power questions.
Thank you, Ross Feingold, for joining us, and